beware, spoilers.
Spoilers, baby.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by CinemaSins.
All right, everybody, welcome to yet another mini-pod.
Mini-pod.
We are going to be talking about Independence Day Resurgence today. Finally, a break from the comic book movies, but not the best of breaks. But anyway, I am Chris Atkinson with CinemaSins, joined as always by the voice of CinemaSins, Jeremy Scott.
Hello.
He will be playing the role of guy who didn't watch the movie.
Because I'm an asshole.
That's right, because he's a dick. Deal with it. And from Music Video Sense, Barrett Sher.
Howdy.
Hey, and Independence Day Resurgence is another in the long lines of these movies that they've resurrected from the 90s and trying to cash in on the name recognition and everything. And I went into this movie without seeing any reviews or anything like that, and just expected a little bit of a fun movie like the original. And the original is by no means a masterpiece, but the original is a masterpiece compared to this movie.
Well, that was going to be my first question. Is it as bad as I think it is?
Yes, it is. It is as bad as you think it is. And you might want to even lower your expectations after that.
Wow.
Because I, about an hour into the movie, realized this just sucked. I mean, I probably could have understood that earlier than that, but I'm willing to give a movie a chance for a while. And then, so an hour into it, I said, yep, this sucks. This is irredeemable. So where do we even start with this? I think the first off, what the first movie I felt did so well was that it introduced all of these characters while the alien invasion is slowly, coming into focus. We don't know exactly what they're there for. And we see all the characters and everything, and there's some annoying characters, but there's some great characters. And, we're reintroduced to Jeff Goldblum because we loved him in Jurassic Park. And he just apparently was in every hit in the 90s or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they took their time with, sort of introducing us to those characters. And then once the invasion happened, it was like, oh, I kind of care about these people. I mean, it's not great. It's not like, oh, I really care whether these people die. But that's another thing. The first movie actually put it to where people could die in it. Like there were characters who died in the movie that were main characters.
Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, Harry Connick Jr. and Mary McDonnell and and all these. I mean, there was anything could really happen in the first movie, but in the second one, I don't think anybody dies. And
really? What?
Anybody main character wise? I mean,
not main character.
If you want to include Vivica A. Fox,
yes,
oh yeah,
and this movie's not great.
In the most hilarious fashion.
Oh, it was the dumbest thing ever. Go ahead and talk about this dumb scene, Barrett.
I thought this entire movie was hilarious. I haven't laughed out loud in a theater as much in ages as I did with this movie. That was an example of it. In the midst of all of this, of a alien gunfight and this mass invasion and this massive, buildings collapsing everywhere, this asshole peels off with his, warship to go over and try to save his mom from the rooftop of a hospital. By the way, she is a doctor, stripper turned doctor in this movie.
Yes. Because, by the way, and to clarify here, this is the kid playing Will Smith's stepson or whatever, from the first movie, who is in his warship and decides, I better go over and look at the hospital. My mom's there. And you are correct. The stripper turned doctor, and good for her, man. She probably got her college degree in the last, 20 years or so. But you know what? Also,
that's what all strippers are working for, right? They're always like getting money towards college.
When you are getting a lap dance, that's all they can talk about is how they, are saving for college. Anyway, she also passes the Roland Emmerich test, right? Because every Roland Emmerich movie has to have a nurse at the hospital.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't care about the character otherwise. Because, it's almost like he's trolling at this point because it's out of nowhere. Like, just like, all right, we care about doctors a lot. We're going to put them at the hospital. And that'll work. Everything will be good.
Yeah. I mean, they rip people from like surgery. They're just like, well, surgery's not done yet. I think she literally says something like, well, pull them out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, well, I guess they're going to die anyway, so fine. But yeah, she gets swallowed up in an entire building collapsing, and as tragic as that sound, it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, think about it. She gets to the top of the building so her son can see her get destroyed. And it's just
sucked into.
It's so inexplicable, awesome. Man. Like, oh, my mom's over here. Let's go see what's happening in her life. Oh, building crashed on her.
Bummer.
Yeah, he's real broken up about it for the rest of the movie. You can tell too. He really just launches his character into whatever it is. I mean, there's this weird, like, I don't think it's a love triangle, but they have the girl from It Follows, Maika Monroe, and Liam Hemsworth. They're actually, gosh, there's a lot to say about this too. Maika Monroe is playing the president's daughter from the first movie, which was played by Mae Whitman in the 1996 version. So basically they went Arrested Development on Mae Whitman in this movie because basically the producers are playing the Jason Bateman role from Arrested Development where, Michael Cera is dating Mae Whitman. And he's like, and he keeps going, you really want to go out with her? I mean, kids keep giving him like hints and stuff like that. And that's what they did with her in this movie. They're like, nah, she's not as pretty as Maika Monroe is. Let's put Maika Monroe in. But Maika Monroe and Liam Hemsworth are like dating or whatever. And then there's like some shady, weird backstory with him and Vivica Fox's son where he almost killed him or something in some sort of, I don't know what, I really didn't ever get the full story on that. And if I did, I just didn't care enough to know.
He did pull up the training exercise that he clipped him on YouTube and helpfully watched it so that we could get all that exposition.
Right. And I didn't care one bit, whatsoever.
Nope.
It didn't matter at all to the story. I mean, that usually something like that is set up so that there's some sort of trust issue later on in the movie. I didn't see that come up at all in this one.
Can I say one thing about this that really bugged me? The
whole
movie bugged me, obviously. But one of the central things is like the aliens get pissed off because obviously we beat them before.
Mm-hmm.
But what they use as their motivation is the president's speech, saying today we declare our Independence Day.
Right. That
was never filmed.
Yeah.
Did somebody like have a handheld in 1996?
Yeah, it must have been something like that, right? Like they while all this alien destruction's going on and
somebody
everything.
remembered to have like a camcorder.
Right. Like the president's about to lay down some words for us, man. We better get this all recorded and then send it out into space like Contact. Yeah.
Well, it carries on the tradition of like when Civil War, when Bucky kills Iron Man's parents, it's filmed with multiple angles.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow on this deserted street.
It's shot with a number of cameras that would make the Truman Show proud.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's also a lot of weird continuity issues with the first movie too. Like we find out in the second movie what they were really trying to do. And this is one of the most cliche alien things ever. They actually in 1996 came to Earth in order to suck the molten core out of the Earth in order to power their species or whatever. That's what they do. They go to planet and suck the life out of it. And we've heard this about 500 million times. The thing is about that, if that was what their original reason for coming was, why didn't they just fucking do it?
I don't know.
Because
the ships weren't big enough, apparently.
No, they spent all their time going over to the Empire State Building and and the White House and blowing those up for some reason instead of just why don't we just go ahead and suck the molten core out of the Earth while we're here? Nobody can stop us.
Apparently they did send one ship to do that, and like he got halfway through, and then they killed the mothership. So, which
is dumb. It's completely stupid.
Because there was like 30 of them.
What's the point of destroying everything if that all you need to do is suck the molten core out of the Earth? It's the dumbest thing I've seen in a movie this year.
Wow, that's saying something.
It is.
Yeah, it is. To think that that's what they came here originally for. I hate it when they add these like, oh, but actually, this is what was going on in that first movie that you didn't know, and we've uncovered the layers, and it's like, no, that doesn't make any sense at all. You could have done that easily. You could have just left Earth and been gone, and no, it would have been fine. So, I mean, do you not agree?
Oh yeah. It's ridiculous. It's a petty excuse. This whole movie is a petty excuse. Why did they make this movie? I'm just curious. And did they think it was going to be a huge hit? Because obviously it's a flop. At least in the first weekend.
Made a decent opening weekend box office, didn't it?
No, it made $41 million on its opening weekend, which is lower than the original in 1996. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely, and it's actually a recurring theme of this summer, and the sequels nobody asked for. They've just been tanking left and right. And, we're going to find out finally, maybe that originality is going to try to win over at some point because they can't.
Think that's what that means? Like we're starting to get it.
Maybe. I mean, if we see next year, Armageddon 2 or something like that, then, we failed. We've totally failed as a species, I think, if we get to that point.
I think we already have. I mean, just generally speaking.
You're probably right. What else? There's another incomprehensible thing. There's a point where some other alien comes up and just unannounced shows up to our moon, and
it looks like a Pokemon ball.
Yeah, it looks like a Pokemon ball. And it just comes out of nowhere, and it's apparently been thinking about it needs to tell Earth, hey, these aliens you defeated last time, they're going to come back. But instead of figuring out how to communicate with Earth before it got here, it just decides to sit there on the moon and just wait for a bit with no communication whatsoever, so that then we just blow it out of the sky. And everybody's, of course, they blow it up and like everybody on the ground's like, yeah, we got it. Yeah. And all that. And
there are so many premature celebrations. Sorry, I just had to put that in there.
No, go for it.
There are so many premature celebrations in this. Like, fucking, even in The Martian, right? Like, every time NASA celebrates or like a command control center celebrates, something gets fucked up. Stop celebrating until the mission is fucking done. They're back. They're on the ground. They're standing next to you. They're like cupping your ass. That's the only time that you can celebrate.
This is becoming my my head hit up against the chair moment that I'm seeing in movies now, where they do that cheering thing like 5 seconds after they've done something, and they think that it's all done and ready. They've won. And in this movie, it's more egregious because. Didn't you do that in the first movie too? Yeah. Didn't you throw that nuclear weapon at, and blew up Houston and you thought you won, and then suddenly out of nowhere, like an edit happened in the video, the ship is still there, and they do that again in this one. But in this case, they've blown up a good guy. This time it's actually somebody who came to warn us, and it's this stupid ass sphere thing, and and through I don't know how the fuck this happens. This guy just randomly walks in and they're like, how do we, do this? How do we talk to this thing? Or how do we figure out what it is? This asshole comes in and just touches it. And like, it suddenly he's melting into the sphere or something. He's like, hey guys, a little help here. And it's just apparently the way you open up that sphere. That's the luckiest thing ever, right?
Oh my God. And this was the guy that somehow he's a tax collector, he's an auditor, and he somehow gets involved in a trip to the moon.
Yes.
Like he just hitches a ride to go to the fucking moon along with some sort of African warlord. That has his sleeves cut off, that goes to the goddamn moon.
Yes.
What? This is what we're dealing with on this. They're just like, yeah, bring him along. Bring him along.
And here's the other thing. We've got the alien technology now, and it's like, and it shows like all this. At first, I forgot about that part of the premise. I saw all this futuristic shit, and I was like, "What is this? Is this supposed to be set in 2040 now, or whatever?" Like, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, we have the alien technology now." Yeah. And the problem did us having the alien technology really factor in anything other than being able to hear like the signal come? I mean, it
was the weaponry that proved to be completely ineffective.
Right.
The funny thing was when she's making this speech, the president's making this speech about we're using alien technology in the last 20 years. We've been able to do anti-gravity machines and things like that. And then it zooms out to where there's this long line of traffic with just like station wagons and like minivans and everything. Yeah. Like, if you have this fucking technology, why can't you like have everything floating? But yeah, there's literally like 74 Chevelles on 995.
Now, also, you were talking about the president talking, and the president's seal award in this one. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where has this speech on at the Lincoln Memorial, and like there's Robert Loggia, who I think died during filming, or he died shortly after this. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he actually shot the scenes that are in this movie, because it seems like he's just like digitally recreated into these scenes, and it's really creepy as shit.
Yeah, it is.
Because he's just sitting in a chair and he's not doing anything, and the way they shot it and everything sort of implies that it's digital. But just a weird thing. And it's also the moment where Bill Pullman, who has turned sort of crazy over the last 20 years and still
because he grew a beard.
Yes, because he grew a beard and everything. And well, because he still has that connection from the time the alien touched him that last time. And so does Brent Spiner's character. And so does the warlord and everything. That really doesn't factor much into anything either, by the way. No. Like they just kind of, remember when they got touched by the alien? They're still affected by that. Nothing really.
Headaches.
Now they get headaches. But that scene with Seal Award at the Lincoln Memorial, Bill Pullman, former president, somehow runs towards the podium with nobody tackling him at all, and tries to say something, and of course he doesn't get his chance to say it.
Speaking of Bill Pullman saying things,
yeah,
there's a scene, I swear to God, because I guess he's so used to speechifying and like people listening to him. Mm-hmm. There's literally a scene where he comes out and talks to Jeff Goldblum's character and starts wandering around a nearly empty hangar and starts doing this big motivational speech about like, we're going to do it again. They told us we had no odds last time. We're going to do this. And there's only like 6 or 7 like hangar workers hanging out around here. And like he's inspiring virtually nobody in this speech. Like it makes me believe that he's, for the last 20 years, he's just been wandering around making these big speeches in the hopes that people will listen to him and respond like they did for the
it's like everybody just like hold back. Bill Pullman's talking here.
And just walks into like a Denny's.
It's exactly like that. It's like just walk into a Denny's and like everybody like they should have done that. They should have had the fat guy eating his like breakfast platter or whatever, and like turning and looking at him going, huh. Yeah, I wish this motherfucker wouldn't be in here right now. Like
he's up on the counter. here we go. I've got a loudspeaker.
There's a moment in this movie that could have been good that they fucked up completely. There's a moment where there's this big, huge alien invasion thing going on, and like Liam Hemsworth and the main gang see an opening in the ship and they fly into it. Now, of course, they did that in the first movie as well, but there's once they get out of their ships and everything, they're running through this like it's like a field of some sort, and it's the actual aliens walking around and stalking them in there or whatever. That could have been a really suspenseful good action scene. Instead, it was just like they're running around in this thing. First off, I'm like, how do they have plants just growing in this ship? There's like these, you remember this?
Oh yeah.
There's like these big, huge, like stalks of some, like it's almost like they're growing
apparently
corn.
they're laser proof because the aliens shoot at these assholes.
Yeah.
They hide behind a leaf, swear to God,
Right.
and the leaf burns up, but they're fine. Also, the aliens decide to bug the fuck out of there after they've shot at these humans that are trying to overthrow their queen.
Yeah,
So,
it could have been really good. It could have been, I mean, think about it, humans basically in an alien world there, being chased by the actual, standing humans the standing aliens this time, like instead of like, air to air combat or whatever, the Top Gun shit that we're always seeing in Independence Day. It could have been like something where they built suspense and everything, but instead they just kind of glossed over it, and they were safe, and then they just they got out of that scene. I really would like to explore that little world they have growing on their ship out of nowhere a little bit more, because that could have been fun.
well, that's interesting. Well, did you like Jeremy? Do you like Brent Spiner?
Yeah, well, I'm a next generation kid, so yeah, but is he in this?
Yeah. I mean, he returns as the scientist, the main scientist, and he, I think, is the best part of the movie. He's actually pretty entertaining.
Clearly the best part of the movie.
I thought, didn't he get like possessed and slammed all over the place in the first movie? I'm not even sure. I thought that guy was still alive.
Yeah, he's in a
that's
coma at the beginning of this. He's for 20 years, he's in a coma.
Nice,
Of course, because the aliens show up and he's got a connection.
That's called script writing right there.
There you go. Yeah.
He's good. It's comic relief, but it's actual like good comic relief. Kind of like Judd Hirsch is kind of like he's overstated and he's doing the same character, he's doing the same shtick, but he's a nice welcome relief. The kids that he's supervising are not a welcome relief.
Yeah.
Especially when
God.
Jeff Goldblum is driving those little fuckers around in a school bus around the salt flats where they're luring the queen alien to kill her with cold fusion bombs.
Yeah.
So somehow, we've got to up the stakes with some kids involved.
Well, and by the way, this alien never dies. It's always got it. Like there's a point where Macon Monroe is broken her shields or whatever, like has hit that sweet spot where the shields are down. But then they shoot that mother alien probably 15 million times after that, and it never dies. I guess there's other stuff, like as far as continuity from the first one, like Jeff Goldblum in the first movie was pining after his ex-wife in the first movie, and they get back together. There's no mention of that whatsoever in this one. Instead, he's moved on to try to bang Charlotte Gainsbourg, who really looks uncomfortable in this movie. It's like
more
she's
uncomfortable than she did in Nymphomaniac.
Like she looks more comfortable in that movie than in this one for sure. What else? Oh yeah. It seems like every time the aliens attack, they somehow find that one pocket of Earth where there's the main characters are. You know, like Judd Hirsch, you were talking about him. He's like just hanging out in a boat, but this ship comes down and wants to start blowing up the water or something. I don't know what it is. Like he gets on the phone with Jeff Goldblum, and he's like, "Oh, they've come back, David." You know. Yeah. But what else can we say about this movie? I mean, really, we could talk a lot about just how stupid it is. for a really long time, but I think you get the point.
I got one more thing.
Yeah.
There are so many you have to see this cliches.
Oh yeah.
I stopped counting.
I was about to say
you should come and check this out. Or you should come and see this.
In this movie, that it really does feel like Roland Emmerich is trolling at like us in general.
Maybe he is.
I think he might be, because everything about this movie it was done either in 2012 or is done in The Day After Tomorrow or is done in the first Independence Day. Because there are a lot of you got to come see this in here. And
there's even we got the timing wrong. It's going to be much sooner.
That is another huge moment in this where it's like, can anybody in a Roland Emmerich movie who is a respected scientist, like the best scientist in the world, can they get these goddamn estimates right just once? They're like, all right, it's gonna, like in, Day After Tomorrow, it's like, it's going to happen in 2 years. And then they look at the data again and they're like, oh my God, we fucked up. It's a week now. And then they're like, it's even worse than we thought. It's on top of us now.
Just as an observation, did Emmerich have anything to do with that San Andreas movie? Because it does almost all of these things.
No, he didn't. But it's funny because I do believe that San Andreas was made with those movies in mind.
Yeah.
They just wanted to copy all the formulas of those movies.
But like the earthquake scientist predicts like the big quake, and then like a few minutes later it's like, oh my God, we were wrong, it's happening now.
And I guess it's some sort of screenwriter trick now where you're supposed to be concerned about this thing that they have some time to kind of prepare for, but then it's like, oh no, we were totally wrong, it's dramatic, it's right now, it's happening right now. And it's so annoying, and it's super annoying in this movie because there's really no point to have some sort of time issue in this at all. It's not a weather disaster movie like 2012 and Day After Tomorrow were, but it does that exact same thing.
Some of these calculations are made by drunk fishermen who somehow have the technology to measure how close they're getting to the Earth's core.
Yeah.
And that's how they screwed up the calculation.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say is, like, towards the end of this movie, they leave open the sequel possibility, and the sequel possibility, I think they should have just gone ahead and done that. They should have done that movie first.
What is it? You go to their planet and attack them?
Yes. They come back and they say, well, maybe we should take the fight to them. I'm like, why don't you just do it this time? You just remade the first movie, you just made it dumber. And this time, why don't you make it where there was some sort of foreseeable threat that you go and attack the alien planet in this one? It may not have been good.
And
it would have been better than this.
There, it's empty because they also attacked our planet, and now we're attacking each other's planets.
What you know what you sarcastically just said is way better than the movie we just saw.
Yeah.
All that dumb shit right there is better than Independence Day Resurgence. So is there anything else we can say about this movie?
No, I mean there's a ton to say, but I think that's enough.
Yeah, I mean we don't have to go.
It's terrible. It's not even. I don't know. I guess I'm talking myself into kind of like it being so bad it's good, but it's really, really fucking bad.
Yeah, there's just, I don't feel like there's anything worthwhile in this. And who knows, maybe 5 years from now, you'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't notice the genius of how bad this movie was until I saw it the second time. But
if you're on a heroin binge and this comes on AMC,
how'd you know?
In 10 years. And you are too comatose to change the channel, that is probably third on your list of problems. This movie is third on your list of problems.
Yeah.
So that's the best I can say about it.
Okay. So I will say, since we haven't said it already, beware spoilers.
Spoilers, baby.
So that you can put that at the beginning, but yeah, this obviously not good, and I don't think anybody expected us to come out and say, you know what? Rotten Tomatoes says 31%, but guess what? They're wrong.
Yeah.
This, there's 69% of people on this earth hate this movie. We are part of the 31. We are the 31%.
We're going to have Bill Pullman come out and fire us up. Yes, you're the 31%, but you stay strong.
I just wish that out of all the things that they threw in this that connected to the first movie, it had anything really to do with the plot at all. They could have made that a lot better instead of just being like, oh yeah, that happened in the first movie, which is what they did a lot in this. So anyway, it's terrible. You may be now curious to see how terrible it is. I recommend trying to find it not in movie theaters and watching it later on.
Give these people your money.
Yeah, exactly. So not good at all. It's the worst movie I've seen this year, I think.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, absolutely. Jeremy was the smart one on this podcast. Anyway, that is our mini pod for this one. We'll be doing another one, I think, in a couple of weeks. And so signing off, this is Chris Atkinson with Jeremy Scott and Barrett Share. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit CinemaSins.com.
I like how the song is called "Debut."
Yeah, it's debut.
It's called "Debut."
Yeah, there's no subtlety there.
Right.
Are you talking about doing the butt?
Yeah, doing "Debut."
I remember that song.
Yeah, sexy. Yeah.
In hindsight, I don't think I realized at the time what was going on there.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was just funny. That's all I thought.
It was a dance involving the butt. Like
yeah, it is. It's a very erotic dance.
Erotic dance. Doing the butt.
Sexy.
Hang on while I Google debut.
Yes. Yeah, Google won't have a problem with that.
Google automatically fills in the button factory.